And the 76ers are finally, some may say, mercifully at the end of this 13-day, 6-game road trip. They are trying to clinch a winning record on the trip tonight against the tough, at least for the Sixers, Cleveland Cavaliers. How you doing? I'm Brian Seltzer. It is 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot. Good evening, Lauren Rosen.
What's up, Celts? Looking forward to this one. It'll be easier to stay.
My whole life. Anymore.
Daylight while we do 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot as opposed to the moon.
Yes, that is true. That is true. All right, so the 76ers, they are taking the floor tonight with a record of 32-15. They're a half game behind the Brooklyn Nets for first place in the East. First is still a goal for the Sixers. They are looking to bounce back tonight. They have gone 3-2 on this road trip. It started great with wins. Fortunes for the Sixers. Competitive, hard-fought game against the Clippers just didn't go the Sixers' way. Game against Denver 2 nights ago, Lauren, on Tuesday. Can't off the top of my head think about a game that the Sixers recover. I know it was a 9-point
to own up. I heard the same that they have and are planning to bring forward with them for the rest of the season.
And listen, I think games like this, are just simply inevitable over the course of, at least in this year, a 72-game season. But also, you're in Denver, different environment, literally, with the altitude, coming off a tough game against the Clippers. I think sometimes these things happen, and hopefully the 76ers can put this defeat in the rearview. First time the team has suffered back-to-back losses. You have to go all the way back to a 3-game losing streak they had in early February. So, yeah, as Lauren said, this team is looking to move on from the Sixers' way after that game.
Yeah. They had easy looks. I thought we turned the ball over. In the first quarter to have them, and they had too many.
I thought that was well put by Tobias.
Yeah, willing to own up to when it's just not your night, when you didn't bring what you know you needed. It's good to hear Tobias and others take accountability for a tough night and keep it moving. It was also Denver's first night with fans in the building, so you have to imagine that gave them even more extra juice. The Sixers on the end of a very long road trip, playing at altitude and playing against a team that had something to prove to its fans that it hadn't seen all season long. So you understand sort of the factors that might have played into that loss, and you appreciate the way that Tobias walked away from it motivated to get back on the right track.
The other part of this is Denver, a really good team. I know they went into the game 5th in the Western Conference. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me at all if Denver made a legit run to get back to the Western Conference Finals. They had a great pickup in Aaron Gordon. Michael Porter Jr. was terrific on Tuesday. Jokic was Jokic, and Jamal Murray shot lights out.
Yeah, for sure. Worth noting that they already have an MVP candidate in Jokic who was available. The Sixers did not have their MVP candidate available, but those additions, you're right, Celts, they seemed pretty fully loaded. It's an exciting team. I think they're going to have quite a run if last year was any indication. And yeah, nice to see some of the highlights that the Sixers were able to put together in this one, but they really did struggle from the jump. You see that 22-44 deficit after the first quarter. And like you said, Celts, they climbed out of it late, especially with the reserve unit that was in there in the fourth period, but never quite covered that early deficit.
Not only is there good news that this is the final game on the 6-game road trip for the Sixers, the other good news is that the expectation is the big man will soon be back. Not tonight, no Joel Embiid tonight for the Sixers, but perhaps as early as this weekend.
Yeah, really good news for Sixers fans, for Joel Embiid fans, for basketball fans. The fact that he is on track to come back soon. I don't want to necessarily say a day or count on a certain day, but the idea that he's getting back to full health and that we could see Joel Embiid soon, really refreshing news, and worth congratulating and applauding the work that the team has done without him. 8-3 since the All-Star break, a really impressive stretch without their best player, mostly holding on to that number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference with a chance to tie it back up tonight.
It's interesting. We asked Doc Rivers before tonight's game, what's the biggest takeaway he's had about this team in the absence of Joel and it's still being able to find ways to win. And his answer, Lauren, it really wasn't anything that had to do with scheme or X's and O's. More simply, that guys have stepped up, and hopefully that's confidence they can carry through. And obviously, when you add someone of Joel's caliber back, he's a starter. That's going to make your bench that much deeper.
For sure. Lots of lessons learned along the way without Joel, whether you're a starter and you took more minutes, more touches, more responsibility for scoring during the 8 wins that the team did have, or the bench unit, all of whom have really shown some great stuff throughout this stretch. I think it's been a time of growth for everybody involved. And now when Joel comes back in, these guys can take what they've learned over these last few games and hopefully put it all together into that special basketball that we were watching prior to the break.
It's just amazing seeing these highlights, reminding yourself of the type of play Joel was providing the 76ers. He was mentioned in the MVP conversation then, and now he has an opportunity, hopefully, in not too long to get himself back in that mix. One of the 76ers' 2 All-Stars. Another All-Star for the 76ers. You see him right there in the middle of the key is Ben Simmons. Simmons, since the All-Star break, averaging around 14.5 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists. And I was heartened to hear, also we were talking about takes after the game on Tuesday, what Ben Simmons had to say about the way things were going for the 76ers and taking some ownership himself.
Absolutely, South. Same thing we talked about with Tobias Harris. Both of them willing to take ownership over the struggles that the team had over those last 2 games and willing to look ahead with confidence and with a little bit of spirit, something to prove, chip on their shoulders as they head into Cleveland. This is a win that they want, Celts, after this Cavs team got the best of them twice. The Sixers have not lost a lot this season, so to lose twice to the same team can't feel good when you're as proud as a lot of these players are.
No, and I think also to the point about Ben, he's had some really good defenders going up against him in recent games, and his defense has still very much been on point since the All-Star break. The real area where his numbers have changed a little bit is he's averaging around 2.5 points less per game. And again, I think he's had some tough individual matchups to deal with the last couple nights. And he certainly was right after that game on Tuesday against the Nuggets, looking ahead to playing the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight in the last game of the road trip.
I say after tonight, we can't wait to play them. They got the number on us right now, and obviously, we believe we're the better team, so we gotta go, prove that and show that, and be ready. Also, we know we're going home, so maybe that will give us a little bit more energy.
I'm still kind of blown away, Lauren, the way the schedule is, because the Sixers come back, very quick stint at home, and then it's straight out on the road. As soon as next Tuesday, they're going to be at Boston. They have home games coming up this weekend, back to back, and then it's get on a plane again.
Not really even enough time to do your laundry, right, Celts? Like logistically speaking,
Not even
when
close.
You're gone for that long.
No.
You come back for 3 days and you have to play 2 games. It's a crazy schedule. So respect to all the folks that are having to get the job done, even understanding that they're going to spend 20 out of 23 days on the road. It's just crazy, but cool to think that they've gotten about halfway through that difficult stretch.
Off the court, Lauren, there was a great wholesome story that developed while the Sixers were on the road.
There sure was, Celts. I think a lot of people have seen some viral content related to the one and only Danny Green. This morning, I got to catch up with Danny about tonight's game and a special somebody who's become one of his biggest fans. Danny, after Tuesday's game, Doc said that a win tonight would mean that you guys had a really successful road trip, going above 500 without Joel. Do you agree with him, and how important is tonight's win?
Very important. I think we're 3-2 right now on the road trip. We get this win tonight, be 4-2. That's not too bad, especially without MVP candidate type of player, Joel, missing him, and we've had guys out early to start the trip too. So we've had guys out in and out, but we've shown some resiliency. If that's even a word. We've been playing pretty decently without some of our guys. So 4-2 would be great, but we got to get the win tonight.
And this one's a little non-game related. You've become a little bit internet famous due to a certain special grandmother who chose you as her favorite 76er. What's that experience been like? Can you sort of walk us through seeing the video for the first time, or seeing the photo for the first time, sending her a jersey, seeing the video, the whole thing?
Oh, it was amazing, man. See people all around the world to be fans of you, especially of other older generations. To her to even follow the game and know who I am is special. Very humbling. But I saw it. I came across it. I saw it. I think it was Twitter, internet. I had one of my people reach out to find out where she was located. Obviously, she showed me a lot of love, so I just wanted to try to reciprocate that as best I could. And I thought I did a halfway decent job, and hopefully she enjoyed it. But it seemed like she did. It's a humbling experience, a humbling or very gratifying, I guess, feeling to know people like that support and I guess root for me. She's older than my grandma, so it's crazy to see she's out there watching the game, but also not just supporting the star players.
If you had to guess, what about your game do you think attracted her to choose you as her favorite Sixer on this roster?
She must like the Sixers. So for her to know everybody on the Sixers team, I would assume she likes the Sixers, and maybe she likes three-pointers. Maybe she likes corner threes. She mentioned that a couple times in her video, so I think that's what she's a perimeter player, perimeter-minded fan. So lucky for me, she chose me as one of the better perimeter players here, I guess, that I'm trying to upkeep or be one of those still to this day.
Awesome. If you haven't seen the video yet, make sure you go check it out. I believe Danny reposted it a couple times on his Twitter account, but it's some real good, wholesome content. And Seltz, you know how much I love wholesome content, so it was cool to hear Danny react to this exciting little moment.
He is very much, and I mean this in the most complimentary and refreshing way, a regular dude.
Absolutely. Just a nice guy who gets to get paid to do something he loves. You love to see it.
Spoke to him recently. It's like he's always been a guy who likes bringing joy into other people's lives. And you can see that. Great gesture by Danny Green, sending that jersey out to a 94-year-old fan. Tremendous.
You love to see it. That's
all right.
I got.
Keys to the game tonight. The 76ers, we're going to call it, they are in the bad land tonight. For them, it's been a bad land. Cleveland has not been easy. This team is sub 500. That is for sure the Cleveland Cavaliers, but not an easy matchup for the 76ers. Sixers 0-2 against the Cavs. They actually have a 3-game losing streak against Cleveland, dating all the way back to last season.
Yeah, that was my last game on the road, Seltz. The last time I was with the team was in Cleveland, and they nearly got it. Of course, the team struggled a bit on the road last year and has really turned that around this year. So I would assume that tonight would be an opportunity to get back in that win column. My clock is running. I said guard the guards. I think this was your key last time that we played Cleveland, so I stole it from you, Seltz. But Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, this is a team that has young guys that can really shoot the ball, can really cause problems, and have caused problems for the Sixers all season long. Ben Simmons, Matisse Thybulle, Danny Green will have their hands full, but if they do their jobs properly, I do think they can slow this Cleveland attack.
Got to get this in here because it's when we usually do it. Thank you, Tissot, for helping me tell when it's time to do keys to the game. Whoop, not that way, this way. NBA Special Edition Tissot Chrono XL. Lauren, what are you rocking tonight?
I am rocking the Tissot PR100. I have loved wearing this watch. It makes me feel so cool, so special. So thank you, Tissot.
What does PR stand for? Pretty righteous?
I don't know. Pretty rad. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
Pretty rad. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. All right. My key. Keep it simple tonight, 76ers. I don't think we need to overcomplicate things. Like Lauren said, we know where the threat's coming from. Colin Sexton has scored 50 points against you in 2 matchups this season. But definitely don't let him get out in transition. Take care of the basketball. That's been a problem in the 2 matchups so far. Keep it simple. We know how good the Sixers are, even without Joel Embiid. If they be the goodest they can be, I think this is closing out the road trip with a dub tonight.
Love it, Seltz. I'm all in on your key to the game.
And that is Tissot, Keys to the Game, brought to you by Tissot. Do we have a final? Are the Philadelphia Phillies, I need to check, are they winners on opening day? They were up before we started the show. We wanted to show you this nice, iconic duo photo. I'm checking right now. Did the Phillies win? This is stuff happening in real time. Ah, yes. The bullpen. I'll tell you this much. I used to do baseball.
Honestly, perfect timing. Go, Celts.
I used to work in baseball, and there's a lot of terrible things out there in the world, but there are few in sports more catastrophic feelings than when you get to the 7th inning and you're like, you're almost there. It's almost the end of the game. And then you give up the lead post 7th inning. It's really tough to rebound from in a clockless game like baseball.
I am a baseball fan myself, though. Hopefully they can get it done. Bottom of the 8th, honestly, perfect timing, 50 minutes before the Sixers game. It's a good day to be a Philadelphia sports fan. Good timing, at least, to be a Philadelphia
you got
sports
the home crowd.
fan. Let's try to get 2 wins.
That's right.
Love it.
Excellent. Play 2, 1 in baseball, 1 in basketball. I think that will do it for us. As we say sayonara, we remind you that tomorrow is a Friday. That means there's a new episode of the Friday Deep Dive coming out on the 76ers Podcast Network. Follow us. Find us by searching 76ers Podcast. Lauren and I are joined by the one only Devon Givens, and we discuss the impending return of one Joel Embiid. Thanks to Coletti, Trevor. Thank you, Lauren. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll talk to you next on Saturday.